What's up, IG? What's up, YouTube? What's up, everybody out there today on this Sunday? Let's see if we're streaming live. Let's see. Are we live? I think we are. We're good. Okay, yep. Yeah, what's happening? It's a great day. First of all, it's been a great week. Great as in productive and intentional and what else? Cup full of community, all those great things. Today is super special for those of you who watch basketball. We know that the WNBA finals are on today. Don't all at once put in the chat, who are you going for? Who are you voting for to win the series? I really want Courtney Williams and team to win because I've been watching her play for so long now. But yeah, I'm a huge WNBA basketball fan, so it's good to see all of the press and the information that has been being passed so far. What's up, y'all? So yeah, I'm going for Courtney Williams. She plays for Minnesota. Yeah, that's who I'm going for today. Game starts at 8, so make sure you tune in after this. But yeah, so first of all, happy Sunday. This episode is going to be super special because I read a book called Surrounded by Idiots, and it's by Thomas Erikson. And it was recommended by someone who felt like they were really surrounded by idiots. So it's an interesting title because it kind of makes it seem like the people that are around you are like idiots. But we're going to address the whole title and all that. I want to start off by saying, so Erikson is a motivator. He's an author, and he has over 30 years of experience in communication. So I'm going to start with a quote from the book. Once again, the book is called Surrounded by Idiots. It's by Thomas Erikson. And the quote that I want to start with says, sometimes when we refer to people as idiots, it is because we have failed to understand them. Dun, 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 drops the mic. Yes, when we refer to people as idiots, it is because we have failed to understand them. And I had to think about that. I'm like, anytime I consider someone as an idiot, right? If I'm like talking to them or just in conversation, it's because typically I misunderstand them or they've misunderstood me or whatever the case may be. But the whole premise of this book is that there are sometimes, like, when you're in different like settings, let's say work, school, whatever the case may be, there's people that get you and you get them, and then there's people that don't. Like, y'all just don't get each other. Y'all clash. Y'all don't see eye to eye. Y'all don't think the same. Y'all really don't understand each other. And so, like, and because of that, it could make you not want to deal with the person altogether because you're like, me and this person don't click. So you just don't want to deal with the person. You'd rather deal with somebody that you do click to. Like, that's just a natural inclination that we have as human beings. And so the author here, Thomas Erikson, that's pretty much his experience, is that when he was in high school, he noticed that there were some people that he could just have a conversation with and the conversation just flowed effortlessly. And then there were other people where it just seemed like, okay, why are we even talking? Like, y'all know, y'all have had them experiences where you just be sitting there and just like, bro, why is this conversation? Let me just like hurry up and act like in this conversation so that we can just stop talking, because it just doesn't. You guys aren't really, there's no synergy. There's no, like, it's like the conversation is dead before it even started. But anyways, the whole reason for that is because that everybody has different communication styles. Everyone has different behavior styles. Everyone sees the world differently. So because of that, that is what dictates, or that's what Thomas Erikson is saying dictates the way that we communicate and interact with one another. A lot of that has to do with background, the way we see the world, the way we think. Like, that's a huge part of it. But basically, Thomas Erikson, he basically went out to kind of study why some people click and why some people don't. So, and of course, the people that you don't click with, he calls them idiots. He's like, we don't click. So you must be an idiot because you don't understand me. But it's really not the case. It's just you just don't understand the person. So in the course of his research, he discovered the DISA method, and it is a way of describing human interactions and classifying behavior. So the D stands for dominance, the I stands for inspiration, the S stands for submission, and then the A stands for analytic ability. The essentially four different behavior types, which I feel a way about having four different behavior types for a whole group of people. I think like the world is so much bigger than just putting everybody into four different groups. But four groups, I guess, like four main groups that help you understand your behavior type. I guess, it's a start. It's a good start. So the four behavior types are also associated with different colors. So you have red, yellow, green, and blue. And I'm going to get into them shortly here. But my first takeaway from reading this is that communication is an art. Communication is an art that I think we often take for granted, overlook, and we don't understand the power of it. Because essentially, when I say that, like, you can almost get anybody to do anything you want them to do if you know how to communicate to them. If you know how to see the world from their point of view and then figure out how to reel them in. It's like if you know the words, the right words to trigger someone to act, to do something, like that you can say, there's certain things that you can say and it'll make somebody either feel some type of way or want to take action or whatever the case may be. Like motivational speakers do it all the time. They might say something and then it triggers you to take action. Whether or not you sustain that action, like that's something completely different, but you at least took action. Like, also it works with like toddlers. You say the right thing to a toddler, you can get their attention. If you say the right thing to, I don't know, a woman, you can get her attention. If you say the right thing to a man, you can get his attention. Like communication is super powerful, and I don't think we really realize the power of it. Also, marketers do it all the time when they're trying to sell products. Like they say certain things to make you feel some type of way, and you're like, okay, I need this product. I need these shoes. I need this lotion. I need whatever the case may be, because now you are attached to the feeling that's associated with that product as opposed to that product actually being like a really good product. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, so my first takeaway is that communication is an art. And let's get into the four different behavior categories. So the first one is red. And as I'm going through these, I want you to kind of see where you would see yourself. Like, where do you consider yourself falling either under red, yellow, green, or blue? And I'll go through each one. So red is considered, your behavior is like more bold, you're driven, you are likely hot-tempered, you're pretty much, you're dominant in like social settings. Famous reds are Steve Jobs, Mother Teresa. So yeah, think of like the person that's like the outgoing, dominant. They're gonna dominate the conversation. They're not gonna be afraid to speak up. Like that's the reds. Yellows are optimistic, cheerful. They have a knack for entertaining. They're solution oriented, and famous yellows include Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, and Robin Williams. So they're like the optimistic, bubbly personality that's like very like they see the good in the situation. They want to solve the problem. They're like the friend that you want at the birthday party, because you know they're going to have a good time, and you know that because they're having a good time, everyone around them is going to have a good time. I think I'm a yellow. Green. So greens are more like balanced, calm, easygoing. They try not to offend anyone. They're very supportive. They're easy to deal with. They can sometimes be a little considered kind of passive. It might take them a little bit to like speak up for themselves. They might not be so like as bold as red, they're pretty like mellow, easygoing. Like they just want everything to be, they peace, I guess you could say. Like peace is their aura. Those are famous greens are Michelle Obama, Jimmy Carter, and Mahatma Gandhi. And then you have the last category, which is the blues. So the blues they're like the analytical thinkers. They think logically, they follow the rules, and they think before they speak. So some good examples of that would be Bill Gates, Albert Einstein. They're like the ones that, like, if they I'm yellow with a red outline. Yeah, that's a good point, because I don't think that you can be just one. I think there's a mixture of some of them, because I see myself as being a little blue, but I think I'm more dominantly yellow. But yeah, blues are like, they're melancholy. I don't want to say they're like moody, but they're analytical. They're gonna think about what's going on, what's being said. They're judgmental. They're gonna judge things. They're gonna put things into perspective. If you challenge them, you better be ready to like defend whatever it is that you're saying, because they're definitely gonna challenge you back. But yeah, that's a blues. So yeah, those are pretty much like the 4 basic behavior patterns that is suggested by this book. And like I said, I feel like people are a mixture of multiple different behavior patterns. I think some of us have like more dominant behavior patterns. Like you might be more red, but then you might have a little hint of green, or you might be more dominantly green but have a little hint of red, and so on and so forth. Like that's what the book talks about too, is like most people have a combination of two or more. It says it's very rare for a person to be like almost one type of behavior type, and that's it. But anyways, that is the explanation that Michael, or Thomas, why do I keep trying to call this guy Michael? Thomas Erikson. That's the explanation that he gives for why you click with certain people and why you don't with others, is because of the different behavior types. And like as I'm reading it, I'm able to see, okay, you know what? I probably wouldn't click with a blue, or I probably wouldn't click with a yellow, or something like around that. Sometimes you can kind of like see who you may or may not get along with. But that might be the explanation, is because they're not idiots. They just have different behavior patterns. So let's see. Also, I kind of feel like I said, I think they're like a little bit too simplistic. I think that people are very different and dynamic, and that four behavior patterns to group billions and billions of people I think that's kind of crazy. But okay, so takeaway number 2 is that learning is not limited to subject matter. It should include people. And what I mean by that is that when you are communicating with others, and when you're learning how to basically get what you want from other people by communicating to them effectively, there's things that you can learn about that person that they might not necessarily say out of their mouth, but you can pick up on in terms of their body language. Body language is a huge key to tell, like, if someone is receptive to what you have to say versus if they're not. I think a really great example of this is just like when you're trying to talk to somebody, and let's say they got their arms crossed like this, and they're looking at you, and they're like they won't even really, okay, so here's the thing, I'm gonna put y'all on game. If a woman looks at you and she don't give you if she don't look at you like completely, like turn her head, like she just looks at you like this, she's not interested. If she has her arms like this, crossed like this, she's not interested, because she's like somewhere in her head she's like not receptive, not open. But like as people, as men, as women, whatever, like you have to pick up on certain body language, and you can kind of gauge if someone is worth talking to or if they're not, based upon that. Like sometimes like you can just get little cues from that. But body language tells a lot. Like even the way women sit, the way men sit, the way people walk, the way they talk, the way that they express themselves, what they don't say, the way their facial expressions. Like a lot of times people don't have to say anything, they just react with their eyes and their in their facial expressions. It's like, you know that they're like either pissed, or you know that they're excited, or you know that they're like, what the heck is going on, just based off of their facial expressions. But all those are different cues that you can pick up on to really understand and learn somebody before they even say anything out of their mouth. I think that's also, it's a good point too, because it also makes you more aware of your body language. And like, when you want to be perceived a certain type of way, you have to make sure that your body language is in alignment with that. So if you want people to respect you, sit up, have like a dignity about yourself, and look people in their eyes, don't look down at the floor, looking up at the sky, like look people in their eyes, let them know you're serious. If somebody wants to shake your hand, never ever shake somebody's hand sitting down. Stand up, shake their hand, like do things that are physically, they show that you know your worth, you're confident in yourself, and that you feel, like your presence and your aura, all that is a big deal. So learning is not limited to subject matter, and it should include people. That's takeaway number 2. Also, it's important to know that behaviors come from somewhere. So if you're not clicking with them, or if the conversation isn't going where you thought it should, sometimes it's not because of you. It's not because of you're like a horrible person, or you just don't got the juice, or whatever the case may be. A lot of times it could be because the other person is just in a space mentally, or whatever the case may be. Like they might be not focused on something as much as you are, and then that can cause a disconnect. And just know that like whatever that reason is, you might not have anything to do with the root of why they're acting or saying what they're saying. But I think it's important to understand others. I think it's important because if you don't, you'll kind of feel, I don't know, I feel like if you don't, you miss the opportunity to connect with people who you could learn from, or you could benefit from, or you could maybe teach them something. Like it could be a mutual beneficial relationship. But if you don't care about learning others, or trying to understand others, and you just want, you're cool with whoever understands you, and that's fine. Like I think that's cool too, to each its own. But if you're specifically wanting to be in a position of like leadership or something, I think it's important to understand others, because you're in a leadership role. So if you're bringing people together in any type of capacity, whether that be you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're a business owner, you own a nonprofit, you own a business, you are remember you're a church leader, like whatever the case may be, I think it's important for you to understand others so that you can understand how to communicate to others effectively, and understand how to maybe group others according to their different behavior patterns. So yeah, I just think it's a skill that if you learn it, you can use it to your advantage. Some people don't care, like I said, about understanding others, and that's okay. You don't have to, but just know that like most people who are in situations of like being able to control different things, like they have to understand others. Like CEOs have to understand everybody else, understand their company, understand how those parts work together and things like that. And I also think emotional intelligence, so the book talks about like how adaptation is necessary. It's a necessary skill for human survival. So it basically suggests that like if you're in a room, let's say you're blue and you're in a room with a bunch of reds, it's basically saying that you should become more dominant. You should adapt to the reds' behavior style in order to be able to relate and connect with them. And like I understand it, but then the question is like, okay, well, how much of you are you, like how much of yourself and your authenticity are you sacrificing so that you can connect with someone else? And then it's like, well, why are you going out of your way to connect with them, but they're not going out of their way to connect with you or to learn or understand you? So I don't know. Y'all can let me know what you think, but I don't know. I just don't feel like that's sustainable because it'll lead to burnout. It's like if you're always going in a room trying to figure out what the behavior style of somebody is, then you're going to be constantly trying to stretch yourself to fit that. And I don't know, I just feel like you could be putting that energy somewhere else. I do think it's good to have an awareness though. Like, I think it's great to have an awareness of the different types of behavior patterns. And like that way, when you don't connect with someone, you know not to take it personal, and you can kind of tell, like, this person might be a yellow. I don't get along with yellows. So let me not take this personal, but let me put things in their right groupings. So yeah, I do think that adaptation is necessary though when it comes to different situations. So like, let's say you're a caregiver and you're a caregiver for senior citizens, and you can't necessarily, like, if a senior citizen is like mentally somewhere else, you can't necessarily just say certain things to them to get them to do what you want them to do. Sometimes you have to like go to their level, and you do have to adapt. You do have to kind of talk to them. Like if they're red and they're dominant, you do kind of have to give that back to them in order to get them to see and to do certain things. Like, I think that's the case with those type of dynamics. Or like when you're a teacher and you have students, sometimes you have to come to the student's level and talk to them the way that they talk to each other so that you can get their attention. I think that's evident, like with the teacher. People have all this stuff to say about the teacher that put them the sexy red lyrics, the ski. She made a whole song with like the ski thing, and like all the little kindergartners was like ski songs, but it was education related. But people had a lot to say about it because they're like, oh, you bringing this raunchy whatever into the classrooms, and it's like, but it works. Like, the kids listen and they'll remember it. And now, not only that, but like they're probably not even going to remember the original version of the song. They're probably going to remember the version that their teacher gave them. And every time they hear the song, they're going to associate it with the version that their teacher gave them. And it's going to be something that they remember. It's going to be something that is going to stick with them because of because the teacher took the time out to stoop to their level, to come down to their communication style to reach them. So I do think that there's certain cases where adaptation is necessary. I just don't feel like it's always necessary in every situation, because I think that then there's a question of like, how much of yourself are you compromising to adapt to someone else's behavior type or behavior pattern. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I thought the title of this book was pretty interesting because it's like, when you initially pick it up, you're thinking like it's going to be justified that you calling other people idiots. Like you seeing other people as idiots is going to be justified. And I don't think that, like, once you get finished reading it, it's like it changes your whole perspective, because it's like, okay, they're not really idiots, I just don't understand them. Or they're not really idiots, they just don't understand me. And that's okay, but here's like the first step to being able to understand someone else who may not be you. And then sometimes you just got to chuck it up to, like, some people are just going to be committed to misunderstanding you, and it is what it is. Like, some people they're never going to want to understand you. They don't care to understand you. They really just don't. It doesn't matter to them. And I think, like, to each his own. Like, they don't sound like somebody that you would want long term in your life anyways, but sometimes you might have to deal with somebody like that, like on a job or who knows. So it is important to, like, kind of learn how to deal with those things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Do y'all have like topics y'all want to, I know Lou, you had said something about introverts and more topics around that, but like, do y'all have any specific topics that y'all are interested in, or anything you're struggling with right now that you would like me to kind of find some books on? Because I'm like, I have a couple different books that I was thinking about. They're more like politically charged though, like more politically and economically charged. And I mean, I know we're in like a political, we're in a political, very political times right now, but I don't know. I feel like relationships is always a topic. Relationships is always a topic. And what else? Self-help, all those things. But yeah, if y'all have like specific topics or suggestions for me to read and like dive into, I would definitely love to do that, because I want to make sure that this is like beneficial for everybody that's a part of it. I appreciate you guys for tuning in though. And you can just leave in the comments. Let's see. You say I'm shy, so I'd like to hear more about putting yourself out there. Okay. Yeah, I started on the book. I just didn't finish it, so I got to get on to that one, Lou, so that I can kind of give you some pointers there. And yeah. So shy. Okay, so shy, not introverted, but more so shy. Cool. So if no more topics are, well, if you do have a topic, just drop it in the comments. That's on YouTube and Instagram. So if you guys are watching this, drop it in the comments. Instagram, drop it in the comments. But that's it for this week. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And you think you're green? I think, you know what? I could see that. I could see green. Yeah, I can see green for you for sure. I think when I was reading it, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely Colin. Colin's green. Yep. So, I think I'm like yellow. I think I'm like yellow and with a hint of blue. I don't think I'm red. In fact, reds irritate me. I don't think I get along with reds sometimes, but reds are just too much sometimes. And then greens, you guys are cool. But I do get along with yellows. Yeah, I think I'm yellow with like a hint of blue. But all right, guys. I will see you next week, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. See you guys later.